Here we go, Wade. We're live now, and you're the host, so please feel free to make the co-host now.
Okay, you're there. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Thanks. Good morning. Hi, Closer. Can you hear me?
Good morning. How you doing?
Hi, Clarissa. Good morning. Let's see. Hi, Kelly.
Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. And Dorothy.
Good morning.
Okay, good. Welcome, everyone. Good way to start the week with a little Gmail class. Thanks for joining us early in a Monday morning. Hi, Joanne. Oh, there you are. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Karen. Can you hear us?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. We should have some more people joining us, so we're going to just sort of hang out here a couple of minutes while people come in. Get that last cup of coffee before they start. There you go. Morning, Larry. Can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. Welcome. Good morning, Larry. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we're waiting for a couple more people to come in. I'm going to go ahead and start getting things set up on my side. So we'll be ready to start in another couple of 3 minutes. Let me go ahead and share my screen. You should be seeing my slides now. I'm going to move your pictures over to my other screen so I can see you over here. All righty. Okay, all right. Yes, a couple more people are connecting in. they're both still connecting, but and we may have a couple more people, but let's go ahead and start getting things ready. So I do want to remind everyone that we will be muting periodically during the class anytime we hear background noise or echoes. So just remember to check your microphone status. And if you are muted, be sure to unmute before you ask a question or make a comment. And you don't need to raise your hand or anything. Just when you have comments or questions, just unmute yourself and ask away. Also, I have opened up the chat. So if anyone is having microphone issues, you can always contact us via the chat. Ken from our TA group is here helping us today. He'll be monitoring the chat, letting me know if I miss any questions you put out there, as well as looking for your questions. If you have any issues with your technology or any other questions for us, you can put them in the chat and Ken will take care of you. Thanks for joining us, Ken. Appreciate your help as always. See, Sheila's joined us. Sheila, can you hear us? Okay, and I think Reggie's here as well. Melinda's still coming in. But we're going to go ahead and get started. We used to take the first 5 minutes to give people a chance to get here, especially on the early morning classes. But we do have a lot to cover as always. So this is getting started with Gmail. I do want to welcome you to the class. Hope you enjoy the class. My name is Wade Yarber, and I'll be your guide today for the class. Briefly about me, I was born and raised in a small town called Mason, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I got my degree in psychology from University of West Virginia and have taught psychology off and on during my career, but most of my career has been spent designing and installing hospital information systems. I did have a minor in computer science, so I've kind of oscillated back and forth between technology and psychology. I love both of them. And what I love about teaching here at Get Set Up is I get to teach people like you that are in the class because you're interested in the class, not because somebody made you take the class. And to Get Set Up, we try to set an environment where you can take classes you're interested in, but along with other people that are interested in the same topic. So it is an interactive situation where you can interact with each other, hear each other's questions, and that is really the objective, is to make it a nice, comfortable environment. That is why we do ask people to turn their cameras on if you're okay with that. Hey, Warren, so you're coming in. If you'd rather not turn your camera on, that is fine. The session is being recorded and any participant can request a copy of the recording. Just send an email to help@getsetup.io. If you don't have that already in your email contacts, Ken has put that in the chat, so you can copy and paste it out of the chat. We're also live streaming the class this morning, so I do want to welcome anyone joining us by live stream. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoy the class as well. But if you want to get that full interactive experience where you can actually ask questions of the guide and interact with other learners, you do need to go to our website and register for a class. So hopefully we'll see you registered in a class soon as well. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid by Google to promote any of the products or any of the other vendors and products we train on. Agenda for today, this is the first of a two-class series around Gmail. This is the introductory class. There's a follow-up class that's called Gmail, Useful Things You Might Not Know. And so we'll begin at the beginning here. We'll teach you how to get into Google, how to navigate the Gmail screen, how to compose and send messages, how to configure and manage your inbox, and then probably most importantly, what labels are and how they compare to folders. One of the differentiating factors for Gmail versus the other email systems that I've used anyway. So how do you get access to Gmail? You have to have a Google account. If you don't already have a Google account, I'll show you how to get one. It is very simple and easy and free. Once you have your Google account, you just have to sign in to Gmail. There's two different ways to do that. One is using the browser version of Gmail. That is the one that is the fully featured version. That's what I'll be training on today. And you can access that from any device that supports a browser and using any browser. So it's very easy to get to Gmail. one of the nice characteristics about it compared to some of the other email systems. There is also an app version for your smartphone or tablet. All you have to do is download the app. However, the app version does look and function differently than the browser version. And some of the things I'll show you today don't work on the app version. So if you have access to a browser, that would be the better way to follow along today. Okay, so with that, I'm going to switch browsers, speaking of browsers, and we'll show you how to get into Gmail. So if you don't have a Google account, you just come here to www.google.com, and there'll be a link here saying sign up. Just click that. It'll take you to the account creation page where you can create your account. Very straightforward. You shouldn't have any trouble doing that. Once you've created your account, then there'll be a sign in link. You sign in using that username and password you just created, which will bring you to this screen. This is the account screen. Up in the upper right, it'll show you the account you're logged in under. If you hover over it, just put your cursor over it. It'll show you which account you're using. You can have more than one Google account. I've got 4 at least, maybe more than that. Each one has its own unique Gmail account. So if you have more than one, you may want to make sure you're in the right one. You can click there and change. I can switch to my Get Set Up account from here. Right beside the account icon is the Google Apps. And it's sometimes called the waffle icon since it looks a little bit like a round waffle. If you click on it, it shows you all the different apps you have as part of your Google account. There are a lot, as you can tell. We do have a class called Introduction to Google Apps. They'll not only spend a little more time showing you how to create an account if you're having any trouble, but they'll go over all these different apps, not in a lot of detail, but letting you know what they are. But for today, we're going to focus on Gmail, which is right here. Just click Gmail, and that will take you to the Gmail home screen. I'm going to briefly show you how to navigate the screen. And again, I know a few people have joined us, so I do want to stress again that if you have a question, if I go over something too quickly or you need me to explain something again, just unmute and say, I didn't get that. Can you go over that again? I got a question. Always happy to hear your questions and comments. I'm going to start in the upper left over here. And this is sometimes called a hamburger icon. But if you click that, it collapses this side panel. This is common to most Google screens, most Google apps. If you click it again, it brings it back. Most people leave it open, but sometimes you may click it by accident and your screen will look like this. All you have to do is click it again to bring it back. The next is the search feature. As you probably know, Google started as a search engine and it has a very robust search feature. We cover this in the Gmail Useful Things class since it is pretty complicated. If you're interested in finding out more about that, that's a teaser for the next class. This is the settings icon. Again, that's the same for all Google apps. It's a little cog. We'll be in there a lot today. Here's that waffle app again and your account icon. Over on the right-hand side are shortcuts to some other apps that you use frequently with Gmail. So one is your calendar. So if you want to just quickly check your calendar to see if you got something coming up, you can click there and see it without having to open it. If you want to open your calendar, you go back to the waffle icon and you can click your calendar. That will open it in a different tab. So now I've got my calendar in this tab. I've got my Gmail in this tab. If you don't see these apps over here on the right side, there's an icon down at the bottom that is a little arrow that says show side panel or hide side panel. It just toggles it back and forth. So if you don't see it, it's probably not clicked. If you don't use these apps and don't want them taking up space on your screen, you can hide them. Coming across to the bottom left, there's 2 other apps here. Meet. Meet is Google's version of Zoom, and Hangouts, which is like a group chat. If you use them, it's kind of handy to have them here. If you don't, it takes up a lot of real estate over here, hiding what you would probably call folders. They're actually labels. We'll talk about that later. So if you don't use these and want to get them out of the way, which is what I do, I'll show you how to do that. We're going to come up to settings. And we're going to click See All Settings. This opens the settings screen. There's multiple tabs here. Each tab has a lot of options. There are a ton of options in Gmail. But we want to go to the one down here that's called Chat and Meet and click it. And then we can turn off chat and we can hide Meet. So just click those and then click Save Changes. And if you'll look at my screen, it's going to repaint the screen and those will now be gone. So I can see more of these labels over here. All right. Questions before we jump into composing messages? Okay. All right. So we're going to start with composing a message. That's one of the two most important things you need to do with email is compose messages and then read messages. We'll get to reading them in a minute. Let's compose a message. So you would put who you're sending it to. I'll just pick my Yahoo account. And we're not actually going to send this, so we'll just put test for the subject. And then you compose the body of the message, whatever you're typing. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because this is very much like any other email that you've used or any other word processing application. Down at the bottom of the screen are all your formatting icons. If you don't see this formatting bar, down here right to the right of the send, there are a number of icons. The first one here is formatting options. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. Looks like a capital A with a line under it. So if you click that, it removes that formatting bar. If you click it again, it brings it back. But you can change the font. You can bold it. You can change the font size. A lot of the typical things you're used to doing. You can make it a numbered list. This is the undo, which is very handy. If you'll put something back like it was. If I want to make this be a bulleted list instead of a numbered list, anytime you see an arrow, click it. Arrows and triple dots always mean there's something else to do. Here I can select a bulleted list instead of a numbered list. Again, if I don't like that, I can always undo it and put it back like it was. So unless there's questions about formatting it, we're not going to spend any more time on that. Next thing I want to talk about is attaching files. And again, this works pretty much like other emails. I'm going to do this quickly. I'll just click on it and then it takes me to my File Explorer. If you're on Windows, if you're on a Mac, it'll take you to Mac Finder, I think it's called, or File Finder. Anyway, I can pick whatever document I want to attach here and open it, and it will attach that document at the end of the message. Typically, you would say something in your email like, see attached file. And then you keep writing. And they would have to go down to the bottom of that email, and that may be a long email, to find this document you were talking about. You can also attach a picture. Works the same for pictures as it does for other types of documents. What you can do with Google, which some of the other emails do, some don't at this point, is instead of attaching it at the end, you can insert it into the body of the document. So that's what this icon is: insert files using Drive. Drive is Google Drive. Google Drive is Google's cloud storage system. So if I click this, it takes me to my Google Drive. If the document I want is down here in my Google Drive somewhere, I can just click on it and say insert. And it actually puts the document into the body of the text. So I can say, let's say, so if I want somebody to review that letter before I send it, I can send an email, put it right there, and then I can keep typing again. So it's in the body of the email. Easier for the recipient, I think, than having to scroll down to the bottom and find it and then open it from down there. The other nice thing about this is that it does also attach it as a link. So if it's a very big document, some emails won't let you send a large document. This is sending a link to your Google Drive. So it can be as large of a document as you want it to be.
Wade, before you move on, how
Yes.
did you get to that, to
Yes.
insert it? I missed that.
Okay.
one reason.
And I'm gonna, in fact, let me do another one to show you one other way to do this. Right here where it says, and if you hover over any of these, it tells you what it does. So if you hover over this icon, it says insert files using Drive. And you just come up here and this takes you to your Google Drive.
Okay, got it.
Now let's say you have something, but it's something you downloaded from the internet and it's still on your device. It's not in your Google Drive. You can still get to that. Anywhere in Google, when you see upload, that means to get something off of your device instead of out of your Google Drive. So let's do that just to show you how that works. So you click upload, you can either drag and drop. I typically select from my device. And so now I'm down here again in my File Explorer, looking at the documents on my device. So I could grab something from here and open it. And then I have to click upload. And it's going to upload it. It's going to put it in my Google Drive, but now it's there. So it's now attached and inserted into my document. So
Okay.
now you can also do pictures the same way. That's the next icon, insert photo. And it works the same way. It first takes you to Google Photos. And if that's where your picture is, you can just go here and grab it and say insert down here in the lower left. And it will insert the picture into the body of your email. You can resize it if it's too big. Lots of times it is. So again, much nicer than if you attach a picture, it's down at the bottom and you can't see the picture till you click on it and open it. Here you can do it and you can actually see it. And you can just keep on typing. As before, I pulled that one out of my Google Photos. If you don't use Google Photos, you can go to upload. And now it's going to take me to my device where I can pull pictures off of my computer. And it uploads and inserts the picture. So you can pull it from Google Drive or you can pull it off your computer, either one. Questions on composing messages? Okay. All right. Now, there are some other things in here that we'll talk about in the next class, but these are the things that most people do most of the time, and that's kind of the theme for this class, or things that most people use a lot. So you know how to use those common things. We'll get into some of the less used but nice to know things in the other class. At this point, there's three things I could do. I could go ahead and send the email if I'm done, but maybe I'm still working on it. My wife calls me, says lunch is ready. So I want to stop and come back and work on it some more later. Up in the upper right, it says save and close. I'm going to do that, and it's going to put it over here in my drafts. I come back after lunch, I click on drafts, I come up here to the one that I was working on and click on it, and here it is back again, so I can finish it up. and send it, or I could change my mind and say, I don't want this after all. And down at the bottom right is your delete. And if you watch behind me, when I click delete, it's going to delete this draft that I just opened. So it takes away the draft screen. It takes away the draft file, and that one is now gone. All right, if there's no questions, we're going to move on to managing your inbox, which is another big topic and one that Google has lots of ways to configure your inbox. Another thing that makes it somewhat different than some of the other emails that I've used. Luckily, instead of having to go into that settings that we were before, you click on settings, but Google has pulled all the settings related to configuring your inbox and into this one screen that's called quick settings. There are a number of different settings. The first one is called density. That's how the lines are set up. The default version has what I call double spacing between the lines. And if you have an attachment, it will pull that out and show it to you here. So you know there is an attachment and I can actually click here and open it from here. The only difference between default and comfortable is comfortable doesn't show you the attachments. So that's the only difference between the two. I like comfortable. I don't want it taking up space with the attachments, but it's your choice. Then compact is single space. Comfortable is double space, I would call it. So that's the settings there. I like mine at comfortable. Next, you can change your theme. I'm fairly boring. I just have a standard theme, but if you want to have a more colorful background, you can pick a theme, and there are quite a few themes. If you don't like the ones here, you can click View All, and it'll bring up a lot of different themes you can use. Click here, you can get to even more images to use as themes. You can also use colored backgrounds if you just wanted something a little more simple. And then there's more pictures down at the bottom. These are more cartoon type things. And you could even take a picture from your device to use as your background if you want to use one of your photos. Lots of options there. The one I use is Spearmint. So I'm going to change mine back to Spearmint and save it. Come back here into my quick settings again. Next section is the actual formatting of the messages. This is probably the most important. If you haven't done anything, yours probably looks like this, very similar at least. There's several tabs across the top. Each tab has messages in it. Google breaks them into these different categories: primary, social, promotions, updates. I'll show you how to tweak that one a little bit in a couple of minutes. We're going to save that for last because I'm going to put it back the way I like mine, which is a customized version of default, which we're going to get to by customize, but we're going to hold that for now. The second way you configure your inbox is by important first. This is the important marker. So basically it puts everything with the important marker set at the top and then everything else at the bottom, meaning everything that doesn't have an important marker. Important marker is sort of like a star, which all emails have stars, as well as Gmail. The difference between a star and the importance marker is that Google will set the importance marker for you. And the only problem with this is that you've got to train Google what you think is important and what isn't. So Google will set things, and if you look at it and say, this should not have been marked as important, you uncheck it. And so maybe this should not have been marked as important. And then same thing at the bottom, maybe there's something down here, this should have been marked as important. Over time, Google will learn what you think is important and what isn't. So when a new message comes in, it will put a important marker setting automatically for you. But it does take a little training. Let's go back into settings. And again, if you have questions, please stop me and ask your question. Unread first is the next option. That's what I think most, probably 90% of the people use, either unread first or default. This one is very popular because a lot of people use unread as sort of their to-do. If they still are working on a message, they leave it as unread. And then once they're finished with it, they leave it in here as everything else. So that one's pretty straightforward. Starred first is the next option. So starred first, no surprise, puts the stars first, and then anything that doesn't have a first is down below it. One thing about stars, you notice there's more than one. This is, I think, unique to Gmail. I haven't seen this anyplace else, but some others may have it by now. So if you're setting a star, every time you click it, it cycles through a number of different options until it gets the one that you want. So if I want a different colored star, that's how I can set my stars. The different stars, Google gives you a lot of different star options. We're going to look at those in just a minute. It doesn't tell you what they mean. This is something you have to just figure out yourself. So maybe an gold star means important. A gold exclamation point means more important. Question mark means I think it's important, but I'm not sure. I need to look at it some more. This one, it's done, but I don't want to delete it yet. Whatever. You can make up what the stars mean. The way you do that and select the stars you want is to come back into settings again. Go into see all settings. And it's in this general tab. So all you have to do is just scroll down until you see stars. So here's all the different stars that you can use. And you just drag and drop to configure it the way you want it. Maybe I decide I don't want that one. So I'm going to drag it down here to not in use. And I want this to be the third choice. Maybe I want this to be the second choice. So you just drag and drop to either reorder them or to take something out of this list and put it in my not used, and I can grab something else from down here and move it back up. Once you're done, go down to the bottom and save your changes, and now you've got a new set of stars to use. And there's two others that we're not going to go into today because, again, these are ones that aren't used by most people. This lets you break your inbox into, instead of 2 different sections, up to 5 different sections and label the 5 different sections. More complexity than most people need or want. So we'll cover these in a different class. But just so you know they're here, if you do want to take a look at them, they're pretty easy to figure out. And the last thing I'll mention is the reading pane. Most of emails have a reading pane. I can set the reading pane to be below. And basically what the reading pane does, if you're not familiar with it, you can click on a message and then see the message down here. A lot of people like to scan their messages first and then set stars or delete them or take actions on them just based on that quick overview. That's what it does. If you'd rather have it on the right-hand side, you can move it over there. Works the same way. One thing I like about Gmail that most of the others don't do is that you typically, to turn this on, you'd have to go into settings and set it up. With Gmail, there's a little toggle up here. So I can turn my preview pane on and off from here. I can even change where I want it. I can put it back at the bottom from here without ever having to go into settings. Last thing here is I'm going to put mine back the way that I like it. So I said that default is just reverse chronological order, but it has the tabs. And I like reverse chronological order, no breaks, but I don't like all these tabs because I forget to check sometimes, or I think, I don't need to look at these until later. There's something I really wanted in there. So you can customize this view by clicking customize. If you like tabs, you can add even more. If you're like me and you don't like the tabs, you can just turn them all off And now I've got an inbox that has a single inbox, all my messages in reverse chronological order. Questions before I move on?
So, wait, once you open a message, what I've been having an issue with, and I guess I need to check my settings. Once I open an email and go to a different one, then I want to go back to that first one. It's moved somewhere. I guess it's dropped down into the, well, it's kind of hard to find again, I guess.
How do you have yours configured? Do you have it? Do you know? Oh, you're muted again, Warren. You're muted, Warren. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, there you go.
Said, I'm not sure how the setting is. I'll have to go back and check the settings. That's probably what is.
Yeah, because certainly if you got unread first, then when you open it, it's going to take it out of this top section and drop it down to the bottom section and put it in chronological order within the bottom section. So it may go from here to way down here somewhere.
Okay. All right.
So if you got a multi-section one, that's probably what's happening. Because if you've got it like mine, it shouldn't move it.
Okay.
One of the reasons I like the way I do mine, so it doesn't move them around. It puts it right back where it was. If I read something, so if I open this one and look at it and come back, it's still in the same spot.
Okay, that's where I would like for it to be until I move it somewhere.
Yep, that's the way I like this one too. All right. All right, so we want to talk a bit about labels. It's the next thing I want to talk about because that's one of the more important things, and it's a difficult concept. So let me take us an example. I'm going to pull this one I was just playing with and open this message. And so I look at this and I read it, and this is about positive psychology. And I've got a label. You would think about it as a folder for positive psychology. So I look at this and say, okay, yeah, I don't really need to read this right now, but I want to keep it because I may want to use it later because I teach a class on positive psychology. So I'm going to put a label on it. So I'm going to click label and come down to positive psychology, click here and say apply. So now I can go down here to positive psychology, and this is called help others manage stress. And here's help others manage stress. So I can now get to that message from positive psychology, just as if it had been a folder and I'd put it in the folder. What's different is that when I come back to my inbox, it's still here. That's what you can't do with folders. With folders, a message lives one place and only one place. With labels, it can live, you can have multiple labels and get to it from any one of the labels. So here I've still got my inbox label. That's why I can get to it from here. It's got a positive psych label. That's why I can get to it from down here. Maybe I also, say I'm going to be working on a new college class in positive psychology. So maybe I want to add it to my emails I want to review before I do my class next semester. So I can now apply that label. I've now got 3 labels. I can get to it from any one of those 3 labels. There it is, how to help others manage stress. To me, that's a huge benefit because lots of times, just like the scenario I used, I want it in my filed by where it came from, but I also want it filed by how I want to use it. With folders, I'd have to pick one of these 2 places to put it. I couldn't have it both places. And I could say, wow, that one is also talking about meditation. Or mindfulness. So I could go ahead and add mindfulness as yet another label. Oops, wrong one. So I can pick mindfulness and apply that one. And now I've got 4 labels. I can put as many labels as I want. Is that making sense so far?
Very much so.
Okay, so let me do a couple more things here. One thing now, I'm done with this. And like most people don't want stuff in their inbox forever. A lot of people like to get their inbox totally empty by the end of the day. I've never been that organized, but when I'm finished with something, I don't want it in my inbox anymore, because inbox is typically things you're working on or going to work on in the next couple of days. So I want to get this out of my inbox. Two ways to do that. I can just click this inbox label and remove that label. I'll do it that way. So it's now gone from my inbox. I don't see it here anymore, but it's still down here in my college class. And it's still down here under mindfulness. And it's down here under positive psychology. Let me just open another one here. So really, inbox is just another label, like any other label. There's nothing special about the inbox in Gmail, other than it comes predefined. That label comes predefined. These others I created. Okay. Archiving does exactly the same thing as deleting the inbox. All archiving does in Gmail is to delete the inbox label. So Google just gives you two ways to do the same thing. I could click this or I could click this. However you want to do it. Either way, it takes off this label. Now let's say this is, I want to put another label on this one because I'm going to be working on a class on Alzheimer's, which is hard to, I'm going to cheat and save that. So I click over here and I look for an Alzheimer's label, and I don't have an Alzheimer's label. So not a problem. I can just say create new. And I cheated so I don't have to spell Alzheimer's. I'm not a good speller. And so I can now create a new label. I can even nest this label under another label, just like you can nest folders under other folders. So this is going to be a college class that I'm going to teach. So I can nest that under college classes and say create. I now have a label, college class / Alzheimer's. If I look over at my labels, here it is, college class, and then a sub-label of Alzheimer's for that class. Triple dots, I always say, you see triple dots, click them. Click the triple dots. I can give it color. Google loves colors. I'd like colors as well. So maybe I want to give it a color to make it stand out a little bit more. So I can go back to my inbox. And so now here it is in my inbox, and it's got a nice bright label so I can see it easily. Now, let's say I change my mind and I decide I'm not going to teach that class after all. I can go to my triple dot and I can remove the label. Now, one thing nice about removing labels versus working with folders, if that was a folder, I would first have to take all the messages out of that folder, put it in some other folder. Here, all I have to do is click remove the label. It confirms I really want to get rid of that label. And if you watch, it's going to disappear from here, and it's going to also disappear from over here. So it deleted it from under college classes. It took it out of that message I was just in. And so now this just has the inbox. Let me go to the next part of the story if everybody's with me so far. So my message so far, where do the messages live, I guess is the question. Because so far I've just been working with labels on a message. In Gmail, there's only 3 true folders, 3 places where messages live: all mail, spam, and trash. All mail is where all your mail is, unless you physically put it into trash or spam. So every message that comes in goes to all mail. Any email you send goes into all mail. So it has your sent messages as well as your received messages. So it is a repository of everything. You can see I've got 1,186 messages in my all mail. all mail is stored in Google Drive, so I don't have to worry about it filling up my C drive. I can have as many messages as I want in all mail. If I decide to delete something or move it to spam, it will move it to one of these folders. They sit there for 30 days and then it's automatically deleted after 30 days. If I delete something by mistake, I can move it back to wherever I want it. I can put it back into, now I put it back in my inbox, but I could put it back in my inbox with the folder. I'll just put it back in my inbox. And so it's moved that back up to my inbox. You can also drag and drop. Okay. So that's where all your messages live. Questions about labels? Is everybody kind of getting how they're like folders, slightly different, but I think much more flexible, much more valuable since you can do a lot more with them. Anybody have any questions about labels before I move on? Okay, if not, I'm going to go back up to inbox. And let's talk about some of the things you can do with messages. And so before I do anything, if I just hover over a message, I can do a number of things. I can add a star from here. I can add or remove an importance marker. I can archive it, take it out of the inbox, leave it in all mail. I can delete it, take it out of all mail, put it in the trash folder. I can mark it as unread, put it back in unread status. And or I could snooze it. And what snoozing does is it takes it out of my inbox, but it's going to put it back in at a set time. So I want to read this, but I don't have time to think about it until this weekend. That's when I read all my messages that weren't important. So I'm going to say snooze that until Saturday at 8 a.m. So when I click, it's going to disappear from my inbox. But it is now in my snoozed box over here, my snoozed folder label. It's a label, not a folder. So if I decide I want to look at this before Saturday, I can still get to it. I can look at it now if I wanted to. If I don't, Saturday, it's going to pop up like this one that says snoozed a week ago. It'll come back into my inbox Saturday morning and saying snoozed. So I know why it's there. Kind of a reminder to me that it was something I decided I was going to read later. Now I can also go ahead and open the message. And from here, I can archive it, leave it in all mail, take the inbox label off. I can move it from all mail to spam, move it from all mail to trash. Mark it as unread. So a lot of these are doing the same things we've already shown. Google does that a lot. Google gives you multiple ways to do the same thing. So I can snooze from here. This is handy, but I don't like the how it's labeled. It says move to. Normally how you're using this is I look at this and it's from Greater Good Science and I've kind of scanned through it. I don't want it in my inbox anymore, but I want to keep it. And I have a folder for Greater Good Science. So instead of unclicking the inbox and adding a label here for Greater Good Science, I can do that in one step instead of two. I could just say, move it to Greater Good Science. What I don't like is it didn't really move it anywhere. It was in all mail. It's still in all mail. What it did, it took off the inbox label and added a Greater Good Science label. So it's not really moving it. But I won't quibble about that too much. Okay. Triple dots always tell you more things. These are things we've already talked about for the most part. Adding stars, marking it as important, marking it as unread. You can print from here. You can add stars from here as well. You can reply back to whoever sent it. There's not a forward here. Always frustrates me a little bit. There's not a forward. At the bottom of every message, it does have a reply and a forward, which is sort of handy. Once you get to the bottom of the message, you can decide if you want to reply back or forward it to someone else. Otherwise, to get to the forward, you got to click on this set of dots. So you got triple dots up here, you got triple dots over here. I can reply, I can forward. If there's more than one recipient, I can reply to all from here. I can print. What I want to mention here is block. If I block this sender, any future messages from that sender will automatically go into spam. The difference between blocking and reporting it as spam, which is the next option down here, is that here it literally sends a message to Google saying this person sent this email is spamming me. This may be someone, a person is sending me emails. I've told them to stop emailing me. They still keep emailing me. So I want to block that person. I don't want to report them to Google. I just don't want to get their emails any longer. So this is don't report them, but send any future messages as spam. This is do report them and send any messages to spam. Same end result. And phishing, if you're not familiar with phishing, is when someone is not only spamming, is typically someone is sending you messages and you don't want their messages, but they're legitimate messages. You just don't want them anymore. Whereas phishing is someone who's representing themselves as your bank and asking you to click on something or give them your account number because they're trying to hack into your account, steal your identity. So this is a bad actor. This is just a company that won't stop sending you their stuff. So that's the difference between phishing and spam. So this also reports it to a different group within Google. Questions about anything we've covered? We got time for a couple of questions.
Your label all mail on the left. How do we get, mine is not showing the all mail. How do I get that? Yeah, that one. How do I get that label to show?
Yeah, come up here to settings and go to see all settings and labels. And then all mail is probably marked as hide. So you want to click it to show. See if that's it. So if you don't want to see it over here in this side panel, you can hide it. It's still there. It's still working. You just don't see it. Did that get it, Warren? You're muted again.
I'm sorry. It's showing just like as yours is there. All mail is dark and hide is blue. So what should I change that?
And it is, well, if hide is dark, then it disappears from over here. See, it's gone from over here now. When I click it back to show, it comes back. That's the only way I know for it not to show up over here. So if show is dark, hide is blue, but you're still not seeing all mail, you're gonna have to call Google because that's a new one on me.
Okay, I will flip back and forth. It probably will do that then.
Yeah, try it a couple of times because I've seen that happen a lot, but I've not been able to, haven't had one I couldn't fix by taking that off.
Okay, we'll work with that.
All right. Other questions?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how best or how would you recommend to transition from AOL Mail to Gmail?
You can have your email, there's a way to forward your email from AOL. You have to do that on the AOL side.
Right.
It's probably the best way to do it. And then, because it'll take a while for people to stop sending emails from there, but that way they'll all come over to your Gmail account. You'll actually have two copies of it. It'll be in AOL and in Gmail. In fact, you can set it with a flag to let you know it came from AOL, and gradually maybe email those people and say, hey, I'm not using this account anymore. Please change my email in your email addresses to my new one. But that way you won't lose any messages. I can show you how you would do that if you were changing from Gmail to somewhere else. I don't know how to set it in AOL, but it's basically, it'll be something like this. You'll go into forwarding. And so it's a forward copy of incoming mail to, so one time I was doing this, I was sending a copy of every email to my Yahoo account as well as to my Gmail account. So I says forward a copy of incoming messages to Yahoo and keep it in Gmail too. So there'll be something equivalent in AOL that you can do.
Thank you. A follow-up question to that. How would one transfer all my, I guess, folders in AOL to, I guess, labels in Gmail?
I don't know if you can do that. I won't say you can't, but I don't know of a way to do that. No, sometimes you can, it'll let you set them up. I know when you're going from a folder to a folder email, I've seen that happen, but I haven't ever tried to do that with Gmail, so I don't know about that one. I think it's going to be difficult to do since folders are structurally different than labels, so I'm not sure if you'd be able to do that one. You're probably going to have to set them up again.
Okay.
What about creating contact list?
Contact lists, we cover in the Gmail useful things. Distribution list, you mean? You're muted again, Warren.
All right, where are your contacts listing period here? Like if you want to add someone, where are those you want to go and review or change email or something?
It's all done under Google Contacts.
Oh, okay, that contact. Okay, all right.
Yeah, and that's also how you do distribution lists. I show you how to do that in the Gmail useful things, but if you want to try and figure that one out yourself, it's pretty straightforward. If you create labels over here, so like I've got a label called Book Club, that's a distribution list. So I could go into Gmail and send a message to Book Club, and it'll grab that group out of contacts. So it works with Google Contacts. We also have a class on Google Contacts, which is a good one to take because it interacts with Gmail and Calendar. All right, we're out of time here.
I have a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If I want to get rid of an email, I've been doing unsubscribe to get rid of emails so they don't come back, like they're like commercial things, like or let's say Keurig or something keeps on sending me an email. So should I do delete or trash it, or there's some way that I can get rid of it forever?
I would unsubscribe first.
I did that.
And Gmail gives you a way to unsubscribe from here, but typically down at the bottom there's an unsubscribe. If you've done that and it's not, they're still getting messages, what I do is I go in there and block them.
Okay.
And then you won't see any more of them. They'll go to spam.
And how did you get to that list of where block is? You use the 3 dots?
Yeah, the triple dot over here on the right side.
And also, are there shortcuts that you can give us at another time, I guess, for Gmail?
I'm not sure what you mean by shortcuts, but
like just like for example, I have to hit Control P every time I want to print something. I don't have that printer picture on my computer. My son built this computer, but
yeah, I'm not from Google doesn't use keyboard shortcuts very much, so I don't think there's much there because it's browser based, and so keyboard shortcuts would have to go through the browser. Most of the apps that use lots of keyboard shortcuts are programs that run under the operating system, not a browser.
Thank you. And what about folders? If I just want to make folders,
there are no folders.
Okay.
They're all labels. You can't create a folder.
Okay.
So these are the only folders. You can create as many labels as you want, but you can't create a folder.
I see.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. All right. So we're gonna quickly go to closing. I'm gonna go through this quickly. But I do want to thank everybody for coming. I do want to mention the couple of the classes that I already called out, but getting started using Google Apps is the one that shows you all the stuff under that waffle icon. And then Gmail Useful Things is the follow-on class to this one, where we go over a lot of other Gmail features, things that you don't use every day in most cases, but they're really handy to know about. And very quickly, in terms of closing, there'll be an email coming out after class. And as part of that, there'll be class notes. There'll be some links in here to some websites with additional information about Gmail. I'll also include links to those related classes down here. I'll throw in the contacts class as well. So if you want to take any of those classes, you can just click that link in the class notes section of the email. It'll take you right to the registration page, make it easy for you to sign up for those classes. Give feedback opens up our feedback form. We always appreciate your feedback. View schedule will take you to our website where you can book another class. And we are at the end of the hour, so I'm going to stop there. But I do want to thank you all for attending. Hope you enjoyed the class, learned some things about Gmail, and hope I see you again in another class really soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye now. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye now. Bye, Warren.